Hey, how's it going? Have you ever imagined what it would be like to leave a regular job, one that feels like it's holding you back, and become a millionaire entrepreneur? Today, I want to share an incredible story of transformation, risks, challenges, and success. A story about an ordinary guy who decided to completely change his life. Stick around until the end, because you're going to feel inspired and maybe even realize that you can take the next step toward your own dreams. The office was gray. Not just the walls or the carpet, but the very air seemed to have absorbed some colorless monotony over the years. Alex Carter sat at his cubicle, staring at the endless columns of numbers on his computer screen. Rain streaked the tall windows behind him, tracing chaotic paths down the glass like tiny rivers. Outside, the city buzzed and shimmered, but inside, the fluorescent lights flickered, bathing everything in a pale, lifeless glow. Alex pushed his glasses up his nose and muttered under his breath, "There has to be more than this." His co-workers moved in robotic rhythm, clicking keyboards, answering calls, and filing papers. Every so often, the hum of the fluorescent lights would compete with the distant sound of a printer jamming or someone sighing heavily in frustration. To anyone else, it might seem like a normal Wednesday afternoon. But for Alex, it felt like a cage, a place where dreams went to die quietly in spreadsheets and memos. "Dreaming again, Carter?" A sharp voice cut through the fog of monotony. Alex turned to see Victoria Lane leaning against the edge of his cubicle, smirking. Her heels clicked on the linoleum floor as she crossed her arms. "Don't forget who keeps you grounded here," she said, with just enough venom to make him grit his teeth. Alex forced a small, polite smile. "Thanks for the reminder," he said softly, returning his gaze to the spreadsheet. Inside, though, something stirred. Victoria didn't know it yet, but her taunts had only lit a spark inside him. Hours passed slowly. The clock on the wall ticked with excruciating precision. Finally, the workday ended, and Alex stepped out into the drizzle of New York City. The streets were crowded with umbrellas, taxis, and the occasional honking of impatient drivers. He made his way to a nearby coffee shop where Maya, his girlfriend, waited. The moment he opened the door, the warmth and scent of roasted coffee beans hit him. The golden light of the hanging lamps softened the edges of the world, a stark contrast to the cold gray cubicle he had just escaped. Maya waved, her smile as bright as the lamplight. "You've been distant," she said, gesturing to the seat across from her. "What's on your mind?" Alex sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I can't see myself here forever. I want something bigger. Something that's mine, not just a number in a report." Maya leaned back, studying him. Her eyes reflected both concern and encouragement. "Then maybe it's time to stop waiting for luck and start creating it," she said softly. Before Alex could respond, his phone buzzed. It was a video call from Ethan, his best friend and co-conspirator in Half-Baked Ideas. "Bro." Ethan's face filled the screen. "If you go full entrepreneur, I'm in. But only if there's pizza involved." Alex chuckled, feeling the tension in his shoulders ease slightly. "Deal," he said. But inside, a whirlwind of thoughts swirled. Could he really leave the safety of his job? Could he turn a dream into reality? He glanced back out the window at the city skyline, rain dripping down the glass, neon signs reflecting in the puddles below. The city was alive, pulsing with energy, opportunity, and risk. And in that moment, Alex realized that somewhere out there, beyond the gray cubicle and endless spreadsheets, a life awaited him, if only he had the courage to take the first step. As he sat there, the rain tapping rhythmically against the window, he whispered to himself, "This is it. I'm done waiting. It's time to make my move." And for the first time in a long time, he felt free. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of coffee and exhaust from the busy New York streets. Alex walked briskly toward a conference hall downtown, his tie slightly askew and a notebook clutched tightly in his hand. Today was the seminar Daniel Price, the legendary entrepreneur, was hosting. Alex's heart thumped in his chest with a mix of nervousness and anticipation. The hall was filled with people who seemed to radiate confidence. Young professionals, startup founders, and ambitious dreamers like him. The soft murmur of conversation buzzed around him as he scanned the room, trying to hide his nerves. Posters on the walls displayed slogans like "Dream Big, Risk Bigger," and "Innovation Starts with Action." Then Daniel stepped onto the stage. His presence was magnetic, calm yet commanding. Silver hair slicked back, a sharp suit, and eyes that seemed to look right through you. He began to speak. "You want success?" Daniel's voice cut through the chatter. "You want freedom? You have to risk comfort. You have to fail, learn, and rise again. Nothing comes to those who wait." Alex felt a jolt of inspiration. Every word resonated like it was meant just for him. After the seminar, Daniel made a point of scanning the crowd and eventually stopped near Alex. "You look like someone with fire," Daniel said, his gaze piercing but encouraging. "Are you ready to risk comfort for success?" Alex hesitated, the question hitting him harder than he expected. His mind raced through all the what-ifs. Finally, he nodded. "Yes, I think I am." Daniel smiled, a subtle acknowledgement of potential. "Good. Potential isn't enough, though. You need discipline, strategy, and the courage to move when others freeze. If you're serious, meet me tomorrow. I can mentor you, but it won't be easy." Meanwhile, back at his office, Victoria had caught wind of Alex's attendance at the seminar. Her curiosity and competitive nature combined into a dangerous mix. Later that afternoon, she leaned casually against his cubicle. "So," she said, a sly smile tugging at her lips, "how was the seminar? Learning how to finally get ahead." Alex kept his tone neutral. "It was enlightening. Made me realize there's a bigger world than these spreadsheets." Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. "Just make sure your big dreams don't get you in trouble here. Some of us know how to play the long game." Alex simply nodded, feeling a mixture of irritation and determination. He realized that stepping out of the cage meant facing not only the unknown but also those who thrived on keeping him small. That evening, Alex met Maya at their favorite coffee shop. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the city lights. "You're glowing," she said, smiling as he slid into the booth across from her. "Did something happen?" Alex's eyes shone with excitement. "I met someone today. Someone who actually believes that I can do more than just sit in a cubicle. He's going to mentor me." Maya reached across the table, taking his hand. "Then maybe this is it. Maybe this is your chance to step into what you're meant to do." Ethan's voice buzzed through a group chat, interrupting the moment. "So, networking wizardry or secret billionaire meetings? Either way, I'm in if you go full throttle." Alex laughed, feeling a rush of energy. "You're officially part of the plan." That night, he stared out the window of his small apartment, the city lights sparkling like a million possibilities. He thought about his cubicle, Victoria's challenges, and the seminar's powerful words. His heart beat faster with a mix of fear and excitement. Somewhere deep inside, he knew that his life was about to change. And this time, he wasn't just imagining it. He was ready to take the first step toward a future he would create with his own hands. For the first time, the spark wasn't just in his head, it was in his chest, burning bright, urging him to leap. The apartment smelled of coffee and late-night energy drinks. Whiteboards leaned against the walls, covered in sketches, numbers, and half-formed ideas. Alex and Ethan sat at the small kitchen table, laptops open, papers scattered like confetti. The hum of the city outside mixed with the low buzz of their determination. "If we do this right," Ethan said, spinning his pen between his fingers, "we could actually quit our jobs in 6 months. No boss, no spreadsheets, no cubicle hell." Alex stared at the ceiling, imagining freedom, the skyline of New York as his kingdom, his own company rising from nothing. It has to be perfect. Or at least profitable. One mistake, and it's over. Ethan chuckled. Relax, man. Perfection is a myth. Just make it work. For weeks, they had brainstormed, prototyped, and debated every detail. Now, the plan was taking shape. The first step toward entrepreneurship was closer than ever. But tension brewed at Alex's old workplace. Victoria had caught wind of his after-hours projects and wasn't going to let him leave quietly. She cornered him one afternoon by the elevator. You really think you can just walk away and start your own empire? Don't forget, Carter, not everyone survives outside the safety net. Alex squared his shoulders, his pulse quickening but his resolve solid. Maybe. But I'd rather fail chasing a dream than succeed stuck in a cage. Her smirk faltered, just a fraction. Bold words. We'll see how far you get. That evening, Alex met Maya at their favorite quiet park, the air cool and crisp, the city lights shimmering across the river. He held her hands in his, feeling the weight of the decision he was about to make. I'm quitting, he said simply. Maya blinked, stunned. What? Are you serious? Yes, he said, his voice firm. I can't wait any longer. I'm done being comfortable. I'm done waiting for someone else to approve my life. I have to try. Her hands trembled slightly, but her eyes softened. Then I'm with you. No matter what. That night, as the rain began to tap against the window, Alex sat alone at his desk, looking at the skyline. The city pulsed with opportunity and danger alike. He thought of Daniel's words from the seminar, risk comfort for success. For the first time, he wasn't imagining the life he wanted, he was stepping toward it. And as the clock struck midnight, Alex typed the resignation email he had rehearsed 1,000 times in his mind. His finger hovered over the send button, heart racing. One click would change everything. He took a deep breath, smiled, and hit send. The die was cast. The first leap had been taken. The small co-working space smelled of fresh paint, paper, and the faint hum of computers. Alex and Ethan had moved in just days after Alex quit his job, turning a corner of the shared office into their own command center. Whiteboards were filled with ideas, sticky notes cluttered the walls, and the tiny kitchen counter overflowed with coffee cups. This is it, Alex said, stretching his arms. Our first real workspace. Feels alive. Ethan grinned, eyes scanning the room. Alive and chaotic. Exactly how a startup should feel. Clients, investors, and freelancers passed by, giving polite nods, unaware that in that corner, two friends were attempting to build a future from nothing. For weeks, they pitched ideas, created mock-ups, and debugged their prototype late into the night. Each rejection felt like a punch, but each small win sparked hope. One afternoon, Daniel Price visited, his sharp eyes inspecting the chaos. You've got enthusiasm, he said, arms crossed. But enthusiasm won't pay the bills. Discipline, focus, and grit will. Keep grinding, or be crushed. Alex nodded, absorbing every word. We won't let it fall apart. We're committed. Meanwhile, Maya worked on her own project, a personal design portfolio she had kept secret. She felt torn between supporting Alex's venture and pursuing her own dream. When she finally hesitated, Alex noticed. Something on your mind? He asked one evening, leaning against the doorway of the co-working space. Maya hesitated, then smiled faintly. Just wondering if I can chase my own dream without letting you down. Alex took her hand, squeezing it. You can. We're building our futures, not giving them away. Chase it. I'll be right here. Days passed, filled with tension, laughter, and tiny victories. Finally, they landed their first client, a small local business willing to pay for their services. It wasn't a fortune, but it felt monumental. Alex leaned back in his chair, staring at the skyline through the office window. The city stretched endlessly, lights twinkling like promise and danger all at once. For the first time, he felt the thrill of progress, the taste of possibility. "This is just the beginning," he whispered, a small smile tugging at his lips. "We're really doing this." The co-working space buzzed with potential, and Alex knew that with each day, each challenge, they were laying the foundation of something much bigger than themselves. The night air outside the networking event was cool, carrying the faint scent of city streets mixed with takeout food from nearby vendors. Inside, the ballroom buzzed with ambition. Entrepreneurs, investors, and ambitious professionals mingled, exchanging business cards and smiles that often masked sharp intentions. Alex and Ethan moved through the crowd, trying to pitch their ideas while keeping an eye on potential competitors. Then Victoria appeared. She looked as polished and confident as ever, wearing a tailored suit that seemed to scream success. Her eyes found Alex immediately, and that familiar smirk spread across her face. "Well, well, Carter," she said, voice dripping with amusement. "I didn't think you'd actually make it out here. Trying to prove something." Alex squared his shoulders, a calm mask over the fluttering tension in his chest. "I don't need to prove anything to you, Victoria. Just watch us succeed." She laughed lightly, but there was an edge to it. "We'll see, won't we? Don't forget, this world is tough. Only the ruthless survive." The night pressed on. Every interaction felt like a test, every handshake a calculated move. Alex and Ethan faced rejections, last-minute changes, and even a technical glitch during their live demonstration. Each small setback was a reminder that success wasn't just about ideas, it was about resilience. Meanwhile, Maya worked quietly on her own project at home, hesitant to share it with Alex. She worried that revealing it would distract him or complicate their partnership. Yet the thought of keeping her dream hidden gnawed at her, a silent tension growing in the background. Later, as the event wound down, Alex and Ethan stepped onto the rooftop to catch a breath of air. The city sprawled below, a mosaic of lights and movement, alive with opportunity and danger. Ethan exhaled sharply. "If Victoria wanted to scare us, she's already halfway there. But we're doing this our way. No shortcuts, no games." Alex nodded, his gaze distant. "Every challenge makes us stronger. Every setback is just a step toward something bigger. We can't stop now, not when we've already come this far." The wind carried the faint hum of the city, a reminder that every decision, every risk, could tip the balance between failure and triumph. And in that moment, Alex realized the stakes were higher than ever. As they descended back into the crowd, Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, but also the thrill of momentum. Victoria's presence was a threat, yes, but also a motivation. The game had intensified, and there was no turning back. The boardroom smelled of polished wood and expensive coffee, every surface reflecting the cold glare of fluorescent lights. Alex and Ethan sat at the long glass table, hands clasped tightly in anticipation. Investors filled the chairs across from them, suits crisp, faces unreadable. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. Alex swallowed hard, feeling the weight of weeks of preparation and sleepless nights pressing down on him. Daniel Price stood nearby, offering a reassuring nod. "Remember," he whispered, "confidence and clarity. You control the room, not the nerves." The lead investor leaned forward, eyes sharp. "We like your concept," he said slowly. "But execution is everything. One mistake and your company could fail before it even starts. Are you ready for that risk?" Alex's voice was steady, even though adrenaline pulsed through his veins. "I'm ready to make that move. We've planned, tested, and refined every step. We know the risks, and we're committed to overcoming them." Ethan gave a small, encouraging nod. "We're all in," he added. For a moment, it seemed like the room held its breath. Then the investors began asking questions, challenging assumptions, probing weaknesses. Alex answered each one, sometimes hesitantly, sometimes with surprising clarity. Every answer felt like a battle, every nod of approval a small victory. Meanwhile, an unexpected challenge emerged. Victoria had somehow gained access to confidential project details and leaked them to a rival investor. The news threatened to collapse the deal entirely. Alex felt a cold sweat break across his forehead. Daniel leaned closer. Adapt. Focus on what you can control. Alex's mind raced. With Maya's encouragement over the phone and Ethan's calm support, he pivoted mid-presentation, highlighting new data and adjustments they had made. Slowly, the tension in the room eased. The investors began to nod, murmurs of approval replacing skepticism. At the same time, Maya's own project, her secret portfolio, was revealed online. The attention was unexpected, both positive and critical. Alex knew that success wasn't a straight path. It came with challenges, distractions, and the risk of public scrutiny. Hours later, the investors leaned back, finally making their decision. "We'll fund your venture," the lead investor said. "But remember, this is only the beginning. Execution will determine whether you succeed or fail." Alex exhaled, relief and exhilaration crashing over him in equal measure. The risk had paid off, but the battle was far from over. As he looked around the room at Ethan, Daniel, and even the looming shadow of Victoria's sabotage, he realized something important. Entrepreneurship was a high-stakes game, and every win came at a price. That night, standing on the rooftop of their small office, Alex gazed at the city below. Lights flickered, cars moved like ants, and somewhere out there, Victoria was plotting her next move. But Alex smiled, fists clenched. They had survived the gamble, and now, more than ever, he was ready to fight for what was theirs. The next phase was coming, and the storm was only just beginning. The office was alive in chaos. Phones rang endlessly, emails flooded inboxes, and the soft hum of computers blended with the nervous chatter of the team. Victoria's sabotage had triggered delays, technical glitches, and negative press. Every minute felt like a test of endurance, every decision a potential disaster. Alex stood at the center, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Everyone, focus. We don't have time to panic. We fix this, step by step." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow, juggling 3 tasks at once. "If we survive this, I swear pizza is on me forever." Alex allowed himself a brief smile but quickly refocused. "No time for jokes. Let's solve the problem." The team worked tirelessly, late into the night. Lines of code were rewritten, client communications carefully managed, and strategies recalibrated. Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him, knowing that one mistake could unravel everything they had built. Meanwhile, Maya approached quietly, carrying her own project. "Alex," she said softly, "I want to show you something." He looked at her, exhaustion in his eyes, and nodded. Together, they worked through her designs, integrating them into the business in a way that amplified both their visions. Her creativity became a lifeline, a spark in the storm. Hours blurred into one another. The city outside shimmered with lights, unaware of the small battles being fought in the co-working space. Finally, they launched a new product line, a calculated move that could either save them or sink them completely. Screens lit up with notifications. Positive reviews, new client inquiries, and media mentions began to flow in. The tide was turning. Alex leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated, feeling the first taste of victory. He looked at Ethan and Maya, and despite the fatigue, their eyes shone with pride and determination. Victoria's presence was still felt, a shadow at the edge of every success, but Alex realized something crucial. The challenges, the sabotage, the pressure had only strengthened them. They had faced the storm and emerged resilient. Standing on the rooftop after the chaos, Alex gazed at the city skyline, lights reflecting in his eyes. He whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning. We've survived the storm, and now we rise." The city hummed below, full of opportunities and risks, but Alex finally felt ready for whatever came next. The empire he had begun to build was no longer a dream, it was real. The office buzzed with energy, a far cry from the cramped, chaotic co-working space of months ago. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating rows of desks, screens, and bustling employees. Alex walked through the room, watching his team move with purpose and confidence. Each face reflected the shared triumphs, the late nights, and the battles they had fought together. Maya approached, her eyes bright with excitement. "Alex, our joint launch exceeded projections. People are talking about both of our projects." Alex smiled, feeling a warmth that had nothing to do with the sun. "We did this together. I couldn't have done it without you." Across the room, Ethan was laughing with a client, effortlessly explaining their latest product. Alex caught Daniel Price observing quietly from the corner, nodding with quiet pride. "You've grown beyond anything I expected," Daniel said softly when Alex approached. "Keep building, but never forget the lessons of the storm." Just then, Victoria appeared. Her polished suit was the same, her confident stride unchanged. But this time, there was no malice in her eyes, only grudging respect. "You did it, Carter," she said, voice steady. "I didn't think you could. But you proved me wrong." Alex shook his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. "It wasn't just me. Everyone here worked for this. And honestly, I think it pushed me to be better." Later, Alex stood by the window, gazing at the sprawling city skyline, the streets alive with possibility. Memories of his cubicle, the endless spreadsheets, and the rain-streaked windows flooded his mind. He thought of the leap he had taken, the gambles, the setbacks, and the nights of doubt. Now, the city no longer felt intimidating. It felt like a canvas, vast and open, waiting for him to leave his mark. He glanced at Maya and Ethan, their laughter echoing across the office, and felt a profound sense of accomplishment. "This is only the beginning," he whispered to himself. "But we've come a long way." And as the sun dipped behind the skyscrapers, casting a golden glow across the city, Alex knew the journey that had begun in a gray cubicle had transformed him into something greater. A leader, a creator, and finally, a millionaire entrepreneur. The empire was rising, and so was he. Wow, thank you so much for sticking with me until the end. I hope this story inspired you and gave you a glimpse of what's possible when you take risks and follow your dreams. If you want more tips, strategies, and inspiration to help you on your journey to success, make sure to check out the link on our channel and in the description. It's from Ment Millionaire and can really help guide your path. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep aiming higher. Your journey to success starts now.